And there's something here. I mean, there's nowhere like this in North America. This is probably the scariest building in the world.
There's something very human about this place. There's something that's here that's in all of us.
It's a heavy-duty place. It's extremely heavy-duty, and it's very psychic, and I think we all, in a sense, have to protect ourselves.
You know, art and madness has always been connected. Creativity and madness, there's a fine line.
When we perform in these rooms, it's not difficult to be fucking real, because it's creepy.
We wrote the script with this actual location in mind.
The psychotic thought process that went on inside these walls, you can't imagine it.
Don't suggest there was no pain in this place. Don't suggest that this was a lovely little sunny outpost for the inmates, you know. Or if you do so, you do so at your peril.
I've done a lot of drawings of Danvers State, and beginning about 5 years ago, I began researching the history and writing a history of the place. I've got a number of horror stories that people have told me, and I've got a number of, you know, that there was a lot of caring that went on here.
Thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people have sat here with their fellow inmates, and the odd nurse popped around, popping pills in their mouths in the 60s, hitting them in the head in the 50s, restraining them on the ground in the 40s, you know. And these days we make movies about it. You know, is that progress? I have no idea.
Initially, Danvers State provided a wonderful asylum for the folks who lived here. They grew their own food, they raised their own livestock, they had a life which on some levels was rather idyllic.
There was a lot of reform in the beginning. There was a congregate dining room. There was a no restraint policy around 1900.
There's a real element of loss here. There's a real element of kind of a high stakes tragedy that's taking place.
The whole story of Danvers is about the evils of overcrowding, which the physicians were always lamenting in their reports. So it was just constantly escalating census. By 1900, actually, the whole dream of moral treatment, which brought a place like Danvers into being, was dead. These institutions were on their way, all of them, they're all the same story, were on their way to becoming snake pits.
Yeah, this is where they did the lobotomies. This is what happened. This was the horrific thing that happened here. You can just keep, it can just keep going.
The story is like the grandeur of the architecture and all this versus, you know, the stuff that went on inside.
Madness oftentimes is completely ill-defined. Most madness is overactive curiosity. What's it like to walk down the middle of a street with no clothes on? What's it like to take an axe and chop off someone's head? And that's what makes them frightening, and that's what makes that place frightening. Is because not only were there people there who had exercised that bizarre curiosity, so many of them were physically lobotomized to prevent them doing so, and which thus makes the state or the keeper as bad as the kept. And I think that's what comes across here. We did a scene on the roof, and for a blip of a nanosecond, it was that short, I wanted to throw myself off the roof. I don't know, would I fall, would I float? You know, we're just chatting away, and it suddenly, just like a voice, was kind of, try it. Someone will catch you, it's a film. You know, actors don't fall off roofs. And that scared me. That really, it scared me of what you're capable of. Like, why on earth would I want to jump off a fucking roof? I have no reason to want to fucking kill myself. But that was the thing, it wasn't a suicidal thought. It was a curiosity. And I'm pretty convinced that came from here. That comes from the building.
It's a horror movie in the traditional sense of horror as dread as opposed to shock. It's more about the internal mechanisms of the inner workings of the human mind and how they kind of get twisted, and particularly five men, the relationships between five men and under very stressful circumstances, working in a big crazy place like this and doing dangerous work. The horror evolves out of their relationships.
The beauty of the script is that all of us have, you know, there's very different ideas about why life has not worked for them and why they've ended up in a position where they have a very risky, very dangerous, very lonely, ugly job.
These guys enter this place, and 5 days later they've kind of become patients themselves. The building has absorbed them and taken them in.
The institution, the atmosphere is the sixth character in the film. It's the one pushing the other characters and making them change course and have different motivations, make them deviate from their normal characters. And that's the whole sort of supernatural eeriness to it.
When you get to do your first walkthrough, it's not something I mentioned earlier that you kind of go into denial to perform the movie, but you do your first walkthrough, and those images and that feeling will stay with you forever.
It was a very synergistic, you know, kind of thing, where we were inspired by the house inspired us.
It's a huge kind of maze of anguish. Every corridor has a different kind of story to tell. Every room, every blade of grass around here has been touched by what went on. And it looms large in everybody's psyche. You know, you act very differently out in a place like this. I don't know how much I believe in all this supernaturally sort of stuff, but if it is there, then because this film's been done, touch wood, with relatively good intent, then there's been little interference. I think buildings and places where things have happened, I think if they think there's an ill intent, then they start to react. But what it is if it's done with ill intent, if it's done for ego or exploitation, then art has a habit of turning nasty on you. I was waiting, found a little corner for myself because I was having to do some quite sort of heavy kind of stuff, and there was no one around me, and someone whispers, "Peter." It was the way in which they whispered it that made me turn. It wasn't Peter, it was Peter. It was a request, very, very quiet request. And as I looked, I was waiting to see someone, "Peter, sorry to bother you, you're wanted on set." As I turned, there was no one there. I hadn't created this for myself. Someone said to me as a request, "Peter." And it scared me. It did scare me. But not scared in the sense, oh my God, any second now someone's going to jump out and kill me. It scared me because it was a request. It was almost, would you like to come in? I'd like to talk to you about something. And that's scary because you fear for, That's when you fear more for your sanity than for yourself. It's like, no, I'm not going in there. I don't want to be talking to any fucking ghost. You know, no. Someone make a film about it, fine. Someone write me about it, fine. But I'm sorry, I don't have the wherewithal to sit down with something that doesn't exist to tell me what the fuck happened in this place over the last, 150 years. I'm sure there are many ghosty spirits around here would find our activities laughable. You know, it's like you want to know madness? I'll show you madness. You know, enter my brain for 50 seconds.
In order to perform the movie, you have to go to a place of denial somewhat, because you kind of, wow, a lot went down here.
The line between sanity and insanity somehow is a bit blurred, it seems to me, and we all reside on one side or the other of that line, and I'm not sure that we know which side that is always. And I think that it's a question that this place poses to us.
I've developed more of a sense of respect here that borders on a fear. You know, it's a respect out of fear, because I feel like in its own way the place is alive.
I don't think it's like you walk in and it's musty and oh, I want out of here. I think it's when you walk away.